A16, turn me up.
And just like that, we're back. Views from Section 400. Matt, Jack, Brian taking you along for the ride. Uninterrupted sports conversation. In this one, as always, Michael of the Week. College basketball recap. Had a huge weekend. Final Four is set. Everyone kind of could have predicted UCONN, but nobody knew about NC State. And look at them getting a job done. But the crazy weekend, and that just sets up an even crazier Final Four. I'm going to take you into some uninterrupted sports conversation here, starting with the Michael of the Week. We do it every week. Brian, as always, I like to lead it off with you since you're usually in the happiest mood for Michael of the Week. So what do you got, man?
So going to the gridiron for this one, but not the NFL. So the USFL/XFL, I think they're just calling it the USFL, started this weekend. Not that anyone knew because they pulled a Rob Manfred and started during the March Madness games. But the YouTuber Destroying finally got a job. He is on the San Antonio team as the kicker. So good for him. I know he's been trying to make it in the NFL for a while. But his first ever field goal attempt was going to be from 58 yards. The other team iced him. He took a practice kick and missed. The very next play, they run like a fake formation, motion the punter into the quarterback, so you think it's going to be like a Big Ben pooch punt. Punter takes the snap, heaves it downfield. They're at the 40 to the center. The center catches the ball, trucks a guy, reaches for the goal line and scores. I don't know how the center was eligible. I don't know what the rules are in this new league, but it was pretty electric to see.
I didn't see much of the XFL or UFFL or whatever the fuck it's called. All I saw was Kiki Kute take an end around on, I think, the San Antonio team. You guys remember that guy from the Texans?
Texans legend.
End around, and then right after, the camera went over to Wade Phillips, and I was like shocked to see that guy even still being able to stand up and coach a football team. He looked good. I mean, health-wise, like he looked, he didn't look whitewashed, pale in the face, whatever. He looked to be relatively healthy. So I guess good for him for getting out there and coaching some professional spring football.
So, yeah, I'm going to have to check some of these clips out. I wasn't taking in any of the XFL lately. I've been a lot more focused on basketball and all that, but I gotta check this stuff out. That's good. That's good.
It's pretty crazy.
My Michael of the Week is also going to come from the TV space, from the gridiron, but not on the field. Tom Brady's ex-wife, Giselle Budichin, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She's hot, but I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's got a whole new show coming out on like Hulu and Apple TV and all this, talking about the divorce and life being married to Tom Brady and her supermodel, this and that. It's giving me this Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, like when she went on live and was doing, all the roasting of Will Smith. Why don't these people just leave their relationships behind closed doors, man? Like, is the bag, there's no way she's hurting for cash, bro. There's no way she needs to do this for money and pay for, I don't know what, bro. She divorced from Tom Brady. She got a bag. She's a supermodel. She got a bag. Like, she doesn't got to do this for money. Why is she airing out her dirty laundry all over the TV? And who watches this shit?
You'd be surprised people watch it. People are heavily invested. I don't know who leaks it though. I don't know why why that would be out there, but TMZ, I guess you can blame them.
She's doing like a whole sit down Michael Jordan Last Dance interview kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like,
that's nuts.
I don't understand why she wants to get in front of a camera and talk about her divorce and all that shit.
Well, there's rumors out there about her and Mr. Antonio Brown, CT ESPN over there. So that we might get an episode about that.
All right. Well, if we see something about that, I'll make sure AB will tweet it, and that's how I'll see it. If I don't see an AB tweet, I'm not bothering watching any of this shit.
Yeah, dude, they invested heavily in that FTX crypto. So she might be. They both might be. I mean, Tom's all over the Hertz commercials now. Like, he's doing a lot of media. It might be hurting a little bit.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That investigative journalist, Brian Howard.
Yeah, no, I guess my Michael of the Week, you guys had more, I guess, kind of, interesting storylines. Mine was just, I was shocked. And it comes over to the baseball diamond and the New York Yankees sweeping the Houston Astros in Houston. That completely shocked me. I was not expecting that. Juan Soto, I mean, that guy's got to be the best player in baseball. And I do not like the Yankees, so I hate having to give them props. But holy smokes, they went down there and they made an example out of Houston. They're pissed off. They're playing pissed off. They're doing it without arguably the best pitcher in baseball, Garrett Cole. And they went into Houston. They swept the series. And holy shit, are the Yankees back? I don't know, but they're pretty scary right now.
Yes, Waldo Cabrera hit like 600 in that series. It's insane.
Yeah.
And then yeah, opening day they were down like what, 7-1, 7-2. They came all the way back. So they're playing good baseball.
All right, yeah, so that was the Michael of the week. Brian kind of had some technical difficulties there at the end, but I don't want to give the Yankees too much credit here. 4-1, and the delusional fans are coming out of the woodworks like crazy. So let me pump the brakes on that before they get a little too over their heels, which they already are. But moving on, we'll get right into college basketball, which is what everybody cares about right now. March Madness is at the tail end, which is very sad. But we did just have the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, Final Four is now in place. We kind of expected UConn to do what UConn was going to do. Iowa State obviously failed against Illinois, which is whatever. Bryant's Creighton probably has some reasons why they didn't win, but end of the day, they didn't get the job done.
Well, the first thing, actually before I mention this stupid team, UConn, it's just insane that these guys have won 10 in a row by double digits. They had one good shooting night against San Diego State, which they kind of needed, honestly, because that game got a little bit close in the first half. But besides that, they haven't shot the three well at all. They haven't been able to score well, and they're still winning games by like 20 points. So I don't see a path where they go down. Now that I say that, the team they're playing, I'm scared shitless because I still won't mention them. That team is the only team right now in the Final Four that's shooting the ball well. I mean, even Purdue, in their game against Tennessee, they scored 40 points in the paint, another 21 from the free throw line, and they scored 72. So they had 11 points that weren't just Zach Edey, just in the paint or from the free throw line. NC State, besides DJ Horn, they had one three-pointer against Duke. And then, yeah, UConn's not shooting the ball well. And he who shall not be named has made 27 threes in their last two games.
Yeah,
Todd roll.
Shut up, Matt. Shut up. I mean, Brian, you're spot on, though. The other three teams are defensively led, are on offense, they're led by points in the paint, playing around the rim, a lot of pick and rolls to the basket, some oops. You're not really seeing that explosive shooting like you are from Alabama with those other three teams, dude. It definitely presents a unique challenge for UConn, but, I mean, moving forward, I'm not too worried about it. We'll get into our Final Four analysis, but UConn is just on an absolute tear. That definitely stuck out to me. I'll say UNC going down. I mean, I know we're talking about Bama and how good they're playing, but them going down in that game was very surprising to me. They played great, except for RJ Davis, of course. Your superstar, the one player you need to just have a decent game isn't, versus Mark Spears, who turned it the heck up and really had himself. He's had himself a hell of a tournament. He's the reason why they're in this Final Four. Grant Nelson's made a nice push, but dude, this is insane. He's what's really stuck out to me through everything. Him and Zach Edey.
He was so fun to root for at Ohio. And of course, now he has to go play for Nate Oates and he's a lot of fun to watch. I can't stand watching Grant Nelson run on a basketball court. That guy, I hope Donovan Clingan does bad things to that man. That's what I'll say about that matchup.
The people who kept receipts on my McNeese State pick, haven't heard from them after I gave out Alabama +4. Haven't heard from a lot of people. I think both of you guys had UNC too, by the way.
I had the under.
It's fair for obvious reasons. You're not going to go Bama. I understand that. But I'm more on those McNeese haters, specifically towards me. Didn't hear a lot from them this weekend.
I know I spoke a lot about the destined game between UNC and Arizona. Both of them went down. The whole point of it was the RJ Davis and the Caleb Love, matchup against each other. Both of them were awful in their Sweet 16 games. Potentially the reason why their teams lost the game. Arizona only losing by 5 to Clemson. That was a close game. UNC losing by 2 to Bama. Super close game all the way through. If those guys just had decent nights, would have been a lot different. Maybe I would have been right, but here we are.
Caleb Love all year. It was like he would just chuck up shots and it would be very inefficient. But you just thought they'd get to that tournament and he'd just be able to figure it out and carry that team. And his inefficiency just killed him again. There got to a point where like Pele Larson would just get the ball and just not even look at Caleb Love again. Because he's like, yeah, you're not just going to chuck up a 3 and brick it and ruin another possession for us. It was getting pretty bad.
Tennessee, Purdue, those are the only teams that have the shot to beat UConn, no? Or Brian, you seem somewhat sold that Alabama has a shot here. And as much as I just like you said, I love Spears and I love the way their offense plays. I love the way they basketball's fun when teams are scoring. I get it, defense might win championships, but it's a hell of a lot more fun to watch when teams are shooting the shit out of the ball and scoring than watching defense. I don't see the angle where UConn loses. I would love to see Alabama win. I know you guys wouldn't want to. I just think Purdue or Tennessee was the only real team that possibly had a shot to do so. Also, shout out Dalton Knecht. I know I was supposed to owe him an apology, but I don't because they didn't win it all. He did have 37 points in that game against Purdue. Zach Edey just had 40. So there was the difference there, but shout out to him. But yeah, I mean, that was the game. I thought one of those teams can probably beat UConn. Brian, a different angle here. You think the one who shall not be named, Alabama, can get it done? So
after Tennessee beat Auburn, Jack was very adamant about how Dalton Knecht beat Auburn and Tennessee did not beat Auburn. And that's kind of, we saw Purdue just be able to be a little bit better than Auburn was in that game. And the other guys weren't able to help Knecht.
That's the exact point I was going to make about this game. I mean, this was obviously a matchup between Edey and Knecht. As Matt said, 40 points from Edey, 37 from Knecht. I mean, it was a one-on-one game, and they both scored over half their team's points. The difference was Edey had just a little bit more help around him from the rest of the team. They made a couple extra shots versus Tennessee. Dalton Knecht didn't get anything around him. It was him, and it was him alone. And dude, these were the two best players in college basketball this year. I mean, I don't know what the stats are going to say, but after watching them go head-to-head in this game and after watching everything I've watched this year, Edey and Knecht, definitely the two best players in college basketball this year.
Yeah, I think that's a relative assessment.
There's one other player that just led his team to 9 straight wins. And he's getting watched by Nikola Jokic, getting some love from him as well.
Who, DJ Burns?
I think we got to give
big boy DJ Burns.
I think we got to give the Wolfpack some love here because this run is absolutely unbelievable. So before I get into them, I will say
it's unbelievable, but we see it every year.
Yeah, no, what's crazy is 6 11 seeds have now made the Final Four. That's twice as much as the number of 6 seeds that have made the Final Four. So
DJ Burns, man. Brian, you said how someone's gonna stop him. Nobody's gonna stop him. Nobody's gonna stop him. I don't know if Zach Edey will. I really don't.
If there's somebody who can stop him, it probably is Edey because Edey's got tree trunk legs and can probably, because DJ Burns isn't like he's big weight wise, but I think he's only like 6'9", right? So
he's not very tall.
He doesn't have the height to be able to combat what Edey can do. And like I said, Edey's kind of built out a little, but he isn't this, that tall, super skinny, lanky center that you see in college. Will be a dogfight, will be a battle. He's got the height advantage, which is going to be a big difference. So it's tough to not go with Purdue with how hot they've been. And I'm usually a Purdue hater. Not hater, but I just think they're frauds. They're putting it all together on arguably probably not as talented of teams that have frauded out before, which is interesting and impressive, I guess.
If you had told me that Duke was going to make the Elite Eight and UNC was going to make the Sweet 16, I probably should have. I mean, and I may have even had that in my brackets. I probably should have realized NC State was the real deal. You said 9 straight wins. They won the ACC tournament. They come into the NCAA tournament, bulldozing straight through to the Final Four, beating Duke by a solid 12 points. DJ Burns drops 29. I don't know, man. Him and Zach Edey, it's going to be a fun matchup. We'll get into more analysis in the next pod this week, but I can't wait. I'm happy for NC State, man. This has been an awesome run for them.
I mean, you say like we should have seen this coming. This team went 17-14 in the regular season, the most losses ever by a Final Four team. And then
you got to get hot at the right time, man.
The opening round of the tournament, the ACC tournament, they were tied with Louisville. Louisville, with like 5 minutes to go, managed to win that one. And then in the semis, they're down by like 7 to Virginia with a minute left. They foul an 87% free throw shooter with 6 seconds left. He misses the front end. First time he's ever missed 2 free throws in a game this season. They chuck it up, and what's his fucking name? Michael O'Connell hits like a banked 3 that, like, it was probably the luckiest banked 3 I've ever seen. Like, rolled around the rim, like, foot barely behind the 3-point arc. This is a team of destiny. It's like Jimmy Valvano vibes.
That's what
I'm crazy.
saying, dude. It's destiny. Why are you
magic behind him right now?
It's insane.
It's an unbelievable run, and it's what I was saying. Like, we see every year a team makes a run. It's hard to predict what team that is, and this has, that Oregon State run when they won the Pac-12, and they went on an unbelievable run. Now, they might have not even made the Final Four.
It was Elite Eight.
They should have. They were elite. Either way, it was a nuts run. Nobody expected it. 17-14 is. I mean, that team should not be making the March Madness.
No, not at all.
I think they went below 500 in conference play as well.
They lost 7 of their last 9 regular season games. Their coach was like on the hot seat, but yeah, you said every year. It's every year since 2013 now, a 5 seed or lower has made the Final Four.
Yeah, I wanted to have a little fun with that here. And if you guys can recall or remember a favorite Final Four run, what was your best or favorite run that a team had?
I mean, dude, 2019.
You're talking to some Auburn fans right now.
Yeah, but you guys, that wasn't a high seed, were they?
They were 5.
I'm being like 10 seed or something like that.
Okay, if you want to go that deep.
Like an 8 seed. Like I was gonna say the Kentucky run with the Harrison twins. That was a nuts run. Do you remember that?
Yeah. The Shabazz Napier run is probably up there. They were 7, I think. Exactly. Beat your Villanova Wildcats, who were the 1, and they're the 2 in the second round.
Yeah, so no, I'm not talking about Auburn being a 5 seed going on a run. No,
they would have been like a 7 if they didn't win that SEC tournament. They were talented, but they weren't great that year.
They had to put it together late.
Yep.
But I don't know. Okay, other than the Auburn 5 seed, is there a better one that you guys can think of? Because I think the Harrison twins, that run was nuts.
Loyola, that was a good one.
Loyola was a nuts run. What was Nova a high seed when they won it all in 2016?
No, they were a 2.
They were a 2. Okay. And then I know when they won it again, they might have been a 1 seed. That was the year they blew everybody out. It's almost UConn-esque the way they won that.
Yeah, I want to say Nova was well, no, the Harrison twins won, right? Or they lost in the championship to UConn.
Yeah, lost in the title game.
Villanova is the only 8 seed to ever win, back with Ronald Massimino. They're the only seed to ever win one. And yeah, the 11 seed has never made the Natty. So just keep that in mind when you're betting on NC State. This week.
I was going to say, you can't take them to win it all.
Brian, you're telling me an 11 seed has made the Final Four how many times?
6 times, and they've never won a Final Four game.
And they've never won a Final Four game.
Look at what happened. Well, they weren't an 11 seed, but FAU as well. It seems like all these teams, they just get to the Final Four, and then that's when they run out of steam.
Yeah, it's really when you play like those really good teams. I know that NC State's going to play the good teams, and you run into like a 2, 3. Sometimes you don't even have to run into a 1, and then you get to that Final Four, and it's like, yeah, that team's either a 1 or a 2, or they've taken down the 1 or the 2.
That much better. They're not falling into the nonsense. But that's the thing. NC State, Power 5 conference. They're not like a nonsense team. I mean, they played the competition. They've beaten the teams. I don't think you can dismiss them that easily. Although Purdue is it's going to be one of those where NC State could be up against it big time here.
The only thing I want to give them is, the ACC. We've seen the run that I said UNC and Duke, obviously the runs they made. I totally left out Clemson.
Yep.
Clemson made a nice little run in this too, obviously. Yeah, lost to Bama in the Elite Eight.
Well,
and if I recall correctly, we had an ACC versus SEC debate earlier in the year on what was better, and the ACC absolutely did numbers over the SEC.
Well, I don't know.
They
both had what, 2 teams in the Elite Eight?
Dude,
they both
the SEC had like 4 teams losing the first round.
Yeah, but the ACC had Virginia.
That doesn't count for a lot. You can't control the committee throwing them in for no reason. I blame that on the committee.
Well, that was their next best team. So if you want to really talk about the depth of a conference,
I don't know. I just know the ACC showed up, and the SEC is still not a basketball conference.
The ACC had 3 Elite Eight teams between Clemson, Duke, NC State. SEC had Tennessee and Alabama.
Almost half.
But Alabama, and I'm not giving them any flowers right now, they did beat 2 ACC teams back-to-back in Clemson and UNC and then Clemson. So
2 pretty heavy hitters out of the ACC as well. Well, maybe not Clemson, but UNC.
Wait a minute. We had a SEC ACC challenge earlier this year.
I know.
That's why up the standings.
Back and forth, and that's what you combated me on when I was ripping on it. You were like,
no,
dude,
like,
we had yada, yada, yada.
It ended in a tie, so we don't have a true answer to that.
Head-to-head in the tournament, though.
All right, well, they still suck. So that's what you get from me.
Yeah, I guess the last thing to kind of close off this Cinderella talk. So the lowest seed to ever win a natty is 8, like we said, Villanova. And that lowest seed to make a natty is also 8, and they've made it 4 times. So we've never seen a 9, a 10, or an 11. And like I said earlier, 9 and 10s have combined for 3, and the 11s have 6 now.
And the highest to win it, you said, was what, 8? And that was Nova?
And that only happened once.
Yeah, that was when they knocked off Patty Ewing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, NC State's got a chance to make history here.
They do.
Oh, also, first time since 2017, a men and women's team has made the men's and women's Final Four.
Oh, South Carolina.
I think it was Treadwell or something.
I remember who was on that team.
They had
like Kotsar or something like that. Am I getting that right?
I want to say his name was Treadwell.
Yeah, look.
But I might be mixing that up with the Vikings receiver.
Laquan Treadwell. Oh,
that's the Vikings receiver.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. They had like one albino dude. They had one dude who their center was like some big Russian dude. Maybe
Sindarius Thornwell.
Sindarius Thornwell. That's what it is. I don't remember who the big center was. I feel like it was like Mike Kotsar or something like that, or maybe that's like an NBA player. But
the albino kid you're thinking of is Hassani Gravett. He was a ginger guard. They had PJ Dozier on the team. Huh.
That might be who I was thinking of. PJ Dozier.
Malik Kotsar, Jack.
Kotsar?
Yeah.
Speaking of the women's game, we've got 2 awesome games tonight. LSU and Iowa. Angel Reese against Caitlin Clark. That's going to be a marquee matchup. And then after that, we got USC and Paige Beckers in UConn. So I'm going to be watching some women's basketball this wonderful Monday night. I don't know about you guys. I'm going to cook some dinner, watch some women's basketball. That's some good game right now, man. Believe that. That's some good game.
Yeah, of course, the rematch in the first game. And then you got Paige Beckers taking on Juju Watkins. I'm sorry, I forgot her name on the live stream. Do not come at me. Gonna be a couple of great games. I mean, the women's game, it's growing. And it's very entertaining.
We're going to be riding with UConn. Obviously, we got Colin's future a lot on the line here.
I love Iowa and Caitlin Clark. The way she shoots the ball, lights out the gym. It's the whole thing, the whole package. Unreal. Unbelievable player. It's Steph Curry as a female. I've never seen anything quite like it. You have the UConn future on the line. Odds boosted it up. It's like 10 to win 170, but hey, I'll take it. If it makes money, it makes sense. I don't care if you're a guy or girl.
Hey, freight don't wait, baby. Freight don't wait.
Freight don't wait. Brian with an Expos hat on wants to address the Mets. Go.
Well, yeah, the Mets had probably the worst opening weekend in baseball. So I just wanted to kind of talk about it, kind of rant about it, and get your guys' thoughts.
The Oakland Athletics won more games than the Mets did this weekend.
Yeah, so opening day happened, and the Mets got one hit. First time they've ever done that. On that opening day, Rhys Hoskins, former Philly, slides into Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil throws a fit. Rhys Hoskins then calls him a crybaby. Next day, they get through a couple innings. Rhys Hoskins hits a home run, hits an RBI double. Nothing happens. New guy comes in from the bullpen, throws it behind Hoskins' head. Mets are already down like 8 runs. Hoskins immediately gets heated. Carlos Mendoza comes out, says, hey, it's not on purpose. Like, it just got out of his hand, clearly on purpose. Like, I don't know who he's trying to fool. He gets suspended. So our new manager got suspended one game before he won a game. Get to the third day. It's even more of a shit show. Before the game, we see Pete Alonso, our best player, go to a Zach Bryan concert. Zach Bryan, a known Phillies fan, gets on stage, starts singing with him, which I have no problem with, but just kind of ridiculous how Mets fans are immediately going to go to that and be like, Pete's going to be a Philly next year. So just not the kind of thing I want to see after my team loses 2 games. Then on Easter Sunday, you have getaway day. You hope it's going to go well. Tyler McGill comes in. The one thing I could count on him is at least the first 5 starts of his season will go well. After that, he's going to have a 5 ERA, but the first 5 will be good. First 4 innings, he does pretty well. Then he comes out of the game, forearm tightness. Today, he's on the 15-day IL. So a rough week for the Mets, rough weekend for the Mets. They do get the Tigers coming into town this week. That game starts in 8 minutes. I'm sure they'll find a new way to lose today. But yeah, the Mets are in shambles. And JD Martinez is still in AAA trying to ramp up because they took so long to sign him.
Yeah. I thought that slide was a little aggressive, but you're trying to break up a double play. I think it's a bitch move to just like stand there and start cussing at the runner like it's gonna do anything.
Oh, Jeff McNeil looked like a complete bitch for that whole interaction exchange.
Yeah.
He
Well,
should not.
I mean, I watched
Hoskins pimped it out and hit a home run the next day. So, and then the Mets again, they try and throw at him and they can't even hit him. They missed him. So the Mets are that should have been. We should have winner, loser, and clown of the week, and the New York Mets are the clowns of the week.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna throw at him too, like do it on his first at bat and hit him in the hip. Don't throw him in his 4th at bat after he's already murdered you this game and try to throw at his head. Just a horrible look.
Yeah, it is, and that's why your manager gets suspended for a game. Did Pete Alonso get Daniel Jones by Zach Bryan? You remember that when Daniel Jones went on stage for a Zach Bryan concert, and then Zach Bryan goes, "Go Birds!"
He did not. I think he understood Pete was having a rough start to his season. But Pete's playing well. Him and Francisco Alvarez are about the only two Mets worth a damn right now.
A lot of hard contact out of Pete Alonso. Hopefully we see a tick from the 217 batting average we saw last year.
Yeah,
a lot of hard contact.
The hard contact's turning into hits. I think it's still early, but he's hitting like
217 last year, which was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was not great.
Well, contact here for the guy. Might see him in a different jersey come mid-July.
Hope not. Don't need to think about that right now. All right, Matt had to tend to some furniture getting delivered, but we feel like we did owe you guys a little bit of our reactions to every game over the weekend. So starting it off, we have the wagon that is UConn. They killed San Diego State, a game we thought was going to be against Auburn. It was not.
Should have been against Auburn, man. It should have been against Auburn. SDSU got blown out by 30 points. Rematch from last year. Highly anticipated, but we knew it wasn't going to be the same. UConn's just been rolling everyone. It didn't stop here. San Diego State, it's really not their fault. They just never had a shot. The UConn train is just rolling through people right now.
Yeah, I think you and Matt said to look at the first half for San Diego State spread. I mean, if you bet on the first 10 minutes, maybe. I think it was 7-7 at one point, and then after that, it just got out of hand. San Diego State just this whole season, it was that same defense, but they just did not have the scoring behind the D, and that's what did them in the tournament. But
Next game, Alabama and UNC. This is the game where I said, "Give me UNC." I don't want to think twice about it. I mean, I'm rooting for everybody against Alabama. Let's be clear with that to our listeners. I don't really care who Alabama's playing. I'm rooting against them. I still didn't think that they were going to lose this game. Tight, close game all the way through. Ended up being a 2-point game. Biggest part of this game for me was RJ Davis just not showing up. If he had himself a halfway decent game, UNC would have been in that Elite Eight game against Clemson. It would have been another ACC rematch like we had with NC State and Duke up in the South. Pretty wild. We could have almost had 4 ACC teams out of the 8 Elite Eight teams, but UNC just fell short.
yeah, I do owe an apology to a friend of the program, Tyler, or I guess we know him as Ducky. He told me he was betting on Grant Nelson, and I told him Mark Sears was the way to go. Mark Sears did come up a little bit short on his points, and Grant Nelson soared over it. So I'm sorry, but I cannot support Grant Nelson. He has a very punchable demeanor, and that mustache is unbelievably annoying. I just hate the guy. I hate Bama as a program. Nate Oates' story is so cool too. Like he was a math teacher 10 years ago, and then he has like an analytics, just leads Buffalo to their tournament appearances, and then now with Bama, made a Final Four. But
Any other school, man, any other program. All right, let's move on. Clemson, Arizona. Another one. Did not expect the underdog to come through in this one. I was telling everyone it's going to be UNC and Arizona in the Elite Eight. Really thought that was going to be the case. Both of them fell short. Arizona in this one, same problem as UNC. They just didn't get help from the point guard. I mean, Caleb Love was supposed to be their savior, their saving grace, especially right around Easter Sunday. Couldn't get it done, man. Clemson, give them credit. The big white boys, as Matt likes to call them, they had themselves an awesome run in this tournament. Took care of business against Arizona, played tough enough against them to get the job done. Definitely a disappointing outcome for Arizona and the Wildcats.
yeah, I think the views from 400 staff could have done just as well from beyond 3-point range as Caleb Love and Pele Larson in this game. They shot 1 for 15. And Arizona still only lost by 5 because Balo's just a beast. The Final Fours in Phoenix, this was their region, I thought at least, to lose. And they just blew it. And shout out to Clemson, great run. But as we will get to when we go over the Elite Eight games, they just didn't belong. And they had a great run, but they did not belong.
Good call, shouting out Ballo. He had 15 and 15 in the loss against Clemson. I was really looking forward to seeing him battle Baycott just as much as everyone was looking forward to seeing RJ Davis and Caleb Love go at it. I was looking to see Ballo and Baycott go at it. I thought that would have been awesome too, but it's a game we'll never get.
You would have had the battle of the white guards too with Larson and Cormac Ryan. Like it would have been.
Yeah, dang, that's a good point too. Dude, it was like I said the whole time, it was destiny, and it just never happened. But moving on from that, you had Illinois and Iowa State, the number 1 offense against the number 1 defense. The number 1 offense got it done by 3 points, 72-69.
I looked back at this score and I couldn't believe it was a 3-point game. I could have sworn, like watching that, Illinois just completely dismantled Iowa State. But it just got that defense just goes to show you it kept them in. But yeah, Iowa State, it was the same thing with Auburn. Like they just ran into stretches where they couldn't score the basketball.
Yes, they did. It was a tough start for them. They made a nice little comeback towards the end, but never ended up getting it done. A tough start for Iowa State, but they just mounted the comeback towards the end. Couldn't come back all the way and get the job done. As Matt likes to say, they won the second half. So that's one thing that they can hang their hat on, a little moral victory. But Iowa State just unable to get it done in this one. Didn't really matter, and we'll get to that, but tough game for the Cyclones. I know Matt really wanted them to win it all.
Yeah, no, if there's one takeaway I really have from this, Terrence Shannon Jr., he scored 30 again, but he also shot 5 of 10 for the line, which might have been a little of a a little prelude to what would happen against UConn. Yeah, I guess we can move into the first game on Friday, NC State. We talked about them a lot, but Marquette scored 58 points.
Yeah, it's not enough. It's just not enough to win. Well, I say that, and then you go look at Duke beating Houston with 54 points, and you're like, huh, okay. But yeah, dude, I mean, to your point, I think this was less about Marquette and more about NC State. They just played some dominant basketball. And look, NC State's on their way to the Final Four. Give them some credit. I don't think this one's on Marquette. They were just outplayed by the hotter team.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I hate seeing Shaka Smart lose in March. He always just ever since that VCU run, he's had issues after that first weekend.
Next one, Gonzaga, Purdue. Purdue won this one against the Zags by 12 points. Zach Edey had 27-14. I mean, he's just an absolute animal. Purdue's been rolling, haven't looked stoppable yet. I would go as far as to say that they've looked as dominant as UConn, especially, playing debatably better competition against Tennessee and all that. I just think that Purdue with Zach Edey, they're potentially the best team in college basketball during this tournament. Not all season, but during this tournament.
So UConn's dominant, and you could tell why they're dominant. It's just like the way they play basketball is just pretty. Like it's fun to watch, like beautiful off-ball screens, just good offense, great defense. Purdue, their guards just penetrate, get fouled, or they give it to their 7'5" center, and then he gets fouled. It's so boring. It's so like just hurts my brain, but it works. And credit to Matt Painter because he's figured out a way. And I'm sorry, Purdue fans, your brand of basketball is not fun to watch. And that's not discrediting it. It's just boring and annoying.
I'm with you there. I think, it's worth giving a shout out to Edey's teammates. Basketball is all about mismatches, right? Zach Edey is a walking mismatch for every single person in college basketball, except for maybe DJ Burns, and we'll see that this weekend. But he is a walking mismatch for everyone in college basketball at this level. And again, the whole reason I started this, credit to his teammates for understanding that and being okay with that and saying, you know what, maybe I should just be the beast. Maybe even if I have to pass up maybe 5-10 touches a game just so Edey can get his and that can get us a win. I think that goes to show, how cohesive this team has become.
Yeah, I think Braden Smith had 15 assists in this game. I may be making that up, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he had 14 points and 15 assists, which is just, I mean, that's what you got to do. That's a great game from your guard. Shot 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. It's exactly what you need. If he does that, Purdue is going to win the national championship.
Absolutely.
You mentioned it earlier before we get to Tennessee Creighton. Duke won by scoring 54 points against the Jamal Shedless second half Jamal Shedless Houston team. Yeah,
it wasn't even it wasn't even just the second half. It was the second half of the first half even.
Yeah.
The score was 16-10 when Shed went out. Houston looked good. I mean, they looked, I won't say dominant. They weren't dominating the game, but they had a command on the game, a 6-point lead, and then that goes and happens. They're playing well on offense. They're playing well especially on defense. And then Shed goes out with the injury. You got to give McCain and Filipowski some credit in this one. They did play well. They played well all tournament, but it feels a little, I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to call fake or Disney or invalid or anything like that, but it just doesn't feel right that after Shed went down, then Duke comes back and ends up winning this by 3 points. I think if Shed was healthy the whole time, there's no brainer. Houston ends up winning this game.
Yeah, he is the cog to that offense. In a lot of ways, like Chad Baker-Mazara was for the Auburn offense. He's kind of, when they can't score, they rely on Shed to make his own shots or get his teammates open. And we saw that, I think, he went down with like 8 minutes left in the first half and they were at 16. So they were on a normal scoring pace. And then they end up with 51 points. And LJ Cryer is a great player, but you can't really rely on him to be your only guard that can score the basketball.
Especially with Shed being the point guard, if there's if there was one player that you would call a quarterback on any of these teams, any team in college basketball right now, it would be him. He's the Tom Brady of point guards, of commanding offenses when it comes to college basketball right now. And you saw it. As soon as he went down in that game, Houston, they just looked lost. Offensively, defensively, they weren't switching right. It was kind of sad to see. You want to see a team lose at full strength. You hate to see them lose their best player.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't call him the Drew Brees of that offense, and you went with Tom Brady instead.
You got me there, Brian. You got me there. Let's move on to my favorite game of the Sweet 16, Creighton in Tennessee.
Yeah, this was my least favorite game.
I know. I knew how big you were on Creighton, and I just had a lot of faith in connecting Tennessee to win this game. So I was really looking forward to it, the matchup, the banter that comes with it. Connect did his thing, dude. I mean, not to say Creighton didn't do theirs, but when it came down to it, Tennessee and Connect, they got it done.
Yeah, Connect made some big shots. You hate to put the game on one player, but Trey Alexander might have played his worst game he ever has played in a Creighton uniform. I think he was like 1 for 12, and then he made 2 garbage time threes, because of course he did. That's just how his night went. It's a shame that this is going to be the end of that Kalkbrenner, Trey Alexander, and Baylor Shineman era, and the furthest they got was the Elite Eight. And every year they were in it, I picked them to get to at least the Final Four. So pie in my face there. But yeah, it was a shame. I was really hoping they would make a run this year. I love Creighton basketball. And you said no one really matches up well with Edie. Ryan Kalkbrenner would have been a decent matchup for him, and that would have been fun to watch. But we never saw it.
I've always been a little bit of a Creighton fan. Dougie McBuckets put me on them way back when, but I guess I didn't see the same juice that you did in them this year. Not in the next round. Shall we move on to the Elite Eight?
I think we shall. Do we have to talk about Nate Oates again, or can we just skip Alabama?
Yeah. I mean, look, they're good.
They made a lot of threes.
Look, they're good. They have a great offense. They make a lot of threes. Everybody from the 1 spot to the 5 spot can hit shots. It's pretty exciting basketball. I'll give them that. A little reckless, but it's exciting, and we like Nate Oates. Even though we don't like anything about Alabama, we like Nate Oates.
It's so infuriating. The year Nick Saban retires, their basketball team goes to the Final Four. And I know most of the freaking Alabama fans down there don't even care, but they're still gonna put it in Auburn's face that they made the Final Four.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people on the social medias don't say anything about Alabama basketball the entirety of the season until yesterday. It's like, oh, we're in the Final Four, sick. Let me post all about social media about how good we are on basketball. Casuals, bro.
I guess we could talk about UConn, Illinois. UConn again won by 20 plus. Terrence Shannon Jr. shot 2 of 12. If he's going to shoot like that, Illinois has no chance to win any kind of basketball games, especially against UConn.
Yeah, look, 25-point win. It wasn't close at any point. I mean, we finished out the first half. It was a 5-point game. So, I mean, you want to call that close? Fair enough. I'll give you that. That second half, man. Oh my gosh. You're gonna have to go watch the run yourself, but I'm pretty sure UConn opened up on like an 18-0 run or something like that.
And they're not making 3-pointers. It's crazy.
No.
They're just
Dude, it's a defense, man. It really is getting stops, getting out in front of it, and it all starts with the anchoring defense. I'm gonna have to go back and check, but how many points have they led up to teams so far? 52 in that game. 52 against SDSU.
Yeah, I can't imagine Stetson scored over 60.
Okay, I got it for you right here. In the 4 games this tournament, in the round of 64, they gave up 52 points. In the round of 32 against Northwestern, they gave up 58 points. SDSU, 52 points. Illinois, in the Elite Eight, 52 points.
Yeah, that is.
They're giving up an average of 54 points per game, 53 points per game. That's nuts.
Probably scoring around 70 plus. That's just, they're so good. You'd think there's no way they don't win it again. But knowing the kind of March we've had, I am terrified of that Final Four game.
I don't know, man. If there's anybody that Bama's gonna have to run into to not get past the Final Four and to not get past where Auburn made their mark a couple years ago, I hope they get slapped by UConn. So, all right, let's move on though.
First one on Sunday. DJ Burns and NC State take down Duke for the second time in as many weeks and make their way into the Final Four.
Who's going to stop DJ Burns? Nobody.
Zach
We're going to see it with Zach Edey. We're going to see it with Zach Edey next week. But that dude, he's just so much fun to watch. He looks so smooth with it. You even saw the Joker calling him out, saying he's got a very nice left hand. Now, I really want to shout out McCain for Duke, though. I mean, he was pretty nuts. He was honestly unconscious at points in the game. Just give me the ball, let me run around to the three-point line, just chuck it up, and it went in. NC State just played way more methodical, slower-paced basketball, got the rebounds, second chance points, and they ended up getting it done, man. They're rolling they rolled the ACC over the last 2 weeks. It's pretty impressive that this run they're on. I couldn't be happier for them. You love a Cinderella team making it this far.
Yeah, it is crazy that they're doing this. I mean, we thought there'd be an 11 that could make the Final Four, but everyone thought it was New Mexico. And it happened to be NC State, 17-14 NC State. And I'll be rooting for them. I don't think they're going to be that first 11 to make the championship, but I'll be rooting for them. They're going to need to shoot the ball a little bit better against Purdue, but who knows? Anything's possible.
And the last Elite Eight game, Tennessee-Purdue, probably the best Elite Eight game. Dalton Knecht, Zach Edey just going back and forth. That was awesome. Dalton Knecht finished with 37 points, career high. Zach Edey finished with 40, career high. Just awesome games.
Yeah, it was Knecht versus Edey, and then the Purdue guards did just enough to outlast the Tennessee supporting staff. And that's kind of what we saw. I mean, yeah. I was kind of worried going into this tournament, at least worried for Purdue, that Zach Edey wouldn't get the same kind of foul calls he got in the Big Ten. But he's still getting all the whistles from these refs. And he's going to go to the free throw line, and he's going to make his free throws, except the one he airballed, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, as long as they just continue to feed him in the post, I don't think NC State's going to be able to stop it.
This one, it really came down to who do I have around me. Not a single person at double digits on Tennessee except for Dalton Knecht with 37. Then over on Purdue, Zach Edey got a little bit of help from Lawyer. But look, that was the difference in this game, was having one man to help you out score the basketball. One man. That's all it took. It was really just Knecht against Edey with just a sprinkle. Lawyer was the X factor in this game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you look at it, you have Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer got 23, and then Ziegler and Jordan Josiah James put up 17. Purdue won by 6. That'll be the show for today. Stay tuned for later this week. We will do a full in-depth analysis of the Final Four games, the Final Four teams. This was more of our reaction. That'll be more of our preview. We'll have that. We'll have some NFL draft stuff coming up. Stay tuned for that. We know that's coming up at the end of April. Until then, another episode of Views from 400. Hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to like and subscribe. Getting close to 100 subscribers. Probably going to have to do something fun when we hit that milestone. See you in the next one.
Jaguars, please draft a wide receiver.